Hello there, my name is Guillem, and from now on, starting with this video, what I'll be doing is sharing my personal anecdotes, my personal experience about learning, the school system, the memorization, sleeping, and so on. So more or less what Wozniak is already doing in his Guru wiki, but with my personal thoughts. So I really think that I have very interesting inputs to share. First is I really want to share. I really have this feeling um, to share this with people. Hey, it's not because I think that my life is important because it's mine, but because what it represents as a sheer example of what the school system can do to you. So if you make a broad generalization of personalities of people, you can use the level you want to use. Um, I am I am the one who suffers the most at the school system. I so for me, my life as a kid was a hell. I I suffered tremendously in the school system and right from the beginning. So you could argue there are a couple of things that are um, I was predisposed for my personality, from my genetics, but also from my environment. Yeah, hello, hello, hello. That's my dog. Um, Back to the point is that I had impairment. So I was losing my hearing to some congenital disease. The point is that that happened at at the age when I was expected to to learn how to read. So the school system is okay. This kid has problems, has issues. He's lagging behind the school system. So they put me in a different group. It's called reduced group. Usually, it's where people who has cognitive or psychological disabilities that they are not expected to succeed in the school system. They will learn a lot slower. But the point is that at least they can succeed in life, in society, right? But that was not my point, not my issue. Didn't have a learning disability. Is that I was losing the hearing, let's say incrementally. I was getting worse incrementally. So my speech was off, was weird, to this thing. So eventually I got surgery, I got better, I recovered the hearing, and I catch up my pulse. And I think that was 1 year and a half. So what usually people do in 1 year and a half in the school system, I did it in 3 months. But for me, that was let's say pleasurable experience. No, more than pleasurable was motivational because now people can understand me. Well, not that many, because I went to a specialist to rework the speech because I acquired a lot of bad habits. But at least I could understand people, their speech. So for me, that's a pleasurable thing. It's now it's a different world. I was not listening like this before, right? But I catch up quickly, and this gave me an artificial sense of the speed, the rhythm that you learn at the school system. So what happened is, wait, that I catch up and I'm back to the normal group, I'm not in the reduced group. So come on, I'm getting bored here. The pacing is too slow, I already got that. Please move on. So the point is that I developed a strategy to cope with the school system that was just imaginating. Is just quietly, alone, with my own thoughts, computing, just for killing time. Because back then there was no internet. Well, there was, but we didn't have access to the internet or computers. So it was just my sheer imagination to kill time. So long story short, I developed a very shy and introversion personality. That because people were bullying, were making fun of me because of my weird speech, right? But that's not the point. I wasn't happy because of the bullying. The bullying was at the least harm. So actually, I went to the psychologist for 6 freaking years, 6 consecutive years, from 8 to 14 years old. So that's just not an anecdote. It's 6 freaking years. One session with a psychologist and one session to the speech specialist each week. No breaks. No Christmas breaks, no summer breaks. Even if the school system had breaks, the psychologists haven't had any break, right? But because I developed a so extreme antisocial behavior, personality. I will cover this more in detail in the future. But the point is that it's not me the problem. It's they are not the pals, not the other kids. Thinking retrospectively, the issue was the school system itself. My personality is very independent, very self-paced, self-learned direction. So the school system coercion was the antithesis of my personality. And that's where my unhappiness source was. But from the point of view of the psychiatrist, that couldn't be the problem. The school system cannot be the problem. So they carried tests like the IQ, and as you may know, the IQ is a dismissal measure of intelligence. I will cover this because there's so much irony here. And then later on I grew up, I become a teenager, even more pain. And the thing is that I failed the high school, at least in Spain. There are 2 years in high school, and it's the last step before the college, right? So at the last year, actually the very last year, it's called in Spanish bachillerato. So when you are in this course and you pass the grades, you do an exam to enter at whatever university you want to enter, right? In the public system. But I failed. I failed because without cramming, so I end up passing grades without cramming. But here in high school, we had history, Spain history, Spanish language, Spanish philology, and so many topics that I wasn't keen to learn. That without cramming, I was not getting a passing grade, right? So, long story short, I failed, and in Spain, when you fail high school, you repeat that academic year. You cannot move on and go to a community college or something with less, a lesser degree of, I don't know how to call it, less important, let's say like this, less prerequisites. So you repeat the academic year, and I did fail again, and yet again. So at the end of the day, I repeated 3 fracking times the same school year, and was actually the last one, because I didn't want it to cram. So I finally realized, okay, that is more or less like watching a movie you don't like, you dislike. My heart, hello, goodbye, Lolo. A movie you don't like, and it's very long, very tedious to watch, but it's not a couple of hours, it's actually a fracking year, and you did once, twice, and even 3 times, because the 3rd time I already gave up the school system. Is fuck it, I don't want to pursue that. But I faced a reality. I know I had all the capabilities way above average. Is that I didn't care of the school system, right? So I started working as yeah, loading and unloading trucks with the boxes and this kind of thing. But first, I wasn't happy with that kind of job, and second, it's very low paid. So at the end of the day, I had to do a very painful decision to come back to the school system and finish that high school. So I had to cram, to finally cram to succeed. And, I had pretty good grades. And I could argue that I was one of the top of the class, even though I was cramming the least I could do. I want to cover this now because it's a very juicy topic. But the thing is that, oh come on, so you failed at the school system. How many people repeat 3 times the same school year? It's very rare to do this. It's, oh come on, you are about to be a PhD, you have 3 master's degrees, you started several bachelor degrees, I only finished one because I already gave up college at some point. But the thing is that it was my fault. Why I gave up high school? Why I gave up college when I studied computer science at the 3rd year? I gave up. And I gave up after enduring such a pain of cramming the last time I did high school. That was one of the hardest decisions I made in my life. Is I am giving up to all this pain. So all this pain I endured go to trash. That's a hard decision to do. Yeah. So and this kind of thing. So more or less that's what I did in the school system. But in parallel, what I did is, oh come on, I truly dislike the school system. The things I'm not keen to learn. But what I did without realizing myself is, oh okay, I'm interliving. I didn't know what interliving was since 1 year from now. But I have been interliving since day one in Anki, for instance. Because okay, I have the shit I have to do in the school system, but I also getting cards from Japanese. I am mixing this. So it's mostly the school system, but I'm getting cards, unrelated cards, because that's what I like. So it's like when you dislike something you have to eat, and you put more salsa or whatever, more seasoning, so you don't notice that much, you know what you dislike, right? So it's this folly. Or the free runnings, or in summer breaks in school, what I was doing, but my parents always complained, I was getting free running slip. And there are so many things that, oh come on, I feel so much identified in the Wozniak writings. I did this, I felt this, my environment was like this, and like that. That's, and even though because I'm a very calm person, I really get excited in that level that when I really read everything, I could not sleep. I have to know more of this. I'm realizing something that I'm not alone. So what I could not check is, okay, there's more people who are like me, who are not give a crap of the mainstream school, or are unhappy. But since I haven't had access to the internet, I was just limited to my ecosystem, so my surroundings, my circle, and nobody was like me in my surroundings. Hello again. So what I did is, wow, that's the summum of happiness is wow, the wow factor after wow factor after wow factor, right again. Uh, and that's, for me, my opinion, has been the, for me, that has been the key point I'm using SuperMemo. It's not just about the software, it's what you do with the software. It's not just, for instance, having a dumbbell, and with that dumbbell you will get fit and strong and healthy. The dumbbell won't get that. It's how you use the dumbbell. It's a dumb example, analogy, I know. So it's not about what I have been Anki for. It's how I have used it. It's okay, I know a pretty amount of, of vocabulary in foreign languages, but for me it was an escape of reality of the school system. Is to feed my land drive while I was coerced. And interestingly enough, I become aware of this because I read some of the Wozniak works back in the day. In 2009, when I download Anki, that's based on SuperMemo. First time I'm seeing that is, okay, the 20 rules of formative knowledge, But I think back in the day, there was no such good wiki, I think. But they were kind of long. And I read some things, but I didn't care. Come on. I forget not. I regret so hard. What will happen if I wasn't aware of all of this back in 2009? When, boom, where my life would be now with this change. And for instance, something I didn't comment it, is that the school system leaves you so many toxic memories. And for instance, what I cannot undo, one of the things I am really cannot undo, it's the toxic memories with English. I speak 5 languages. The English is the only language I have been coerced to study in the school system. And for me it was pointless, because why I have to study this language that nobody speaks in my region, and I have no access to the internet. So I'm learning one language that I don't personally like, but that's not the point. Is that I don't understand the purpose, why this language is going to be useful or benefit in the long run. It's because the school system doesn't do that. You have to learn this because you have to learn this, and that's it. So that's one of the things that it burdens, because what I want to do is to share all this knowledge, to share all of this, even if it's in the speaking form or in the written form. But I will do it in English. But English, it's plenty of toxic memories. That's why also my prosody in my standards is crap. I really want to get better at English, but I don't want to study English, that makes sense, because of the toxic memories. It's not a pleasurable experience learning English. And now, for instance, I am focusing on accent reduction. So at least if I have more accent, but to sound more natural. And and the thing is that it's more pleasurable because I have learned, I put that in SuperMemo, about not the speech, the resonance, the bias with the accents, and that's what I'm really enjoying. Not the sheer accent reduction by itself, if this makes sense. So it's already about 20 minutes long, a lot longer than I wanted to do. So I will be doing short videos, so straight to the point, and another kind of video with me speaking and speaking. Maybe I will do it in podcast form, because also there's no point of seeing my face for that long. And I would like to get feedback. How do you think it's better to get a very long monologue or to have videos split straight to the point? What I like, for instance, what I will argue myself is I speak very slowly and with breaks, but I need to get better at the English. So even if I wanted to, I cannot speak that quick, if that makes sense. So I hope this has been useful for you, and feel free to open yourself if you want to share your experience and to help others reach a self-learning experience and reach happiness, well-being, and really acquiring knowledge, not just cramming and forgetting. That will be all for today. Thank you.